After dinner, Virginia headed off, and Hieronymous and I retired to the bedroom. As soon as we enter the room, however, I can't help but notice that the baby is lying in her crib, which had been set up at the other end of the room. Hieronymous, I say softly. There's a baby in here. Why is there a baby in here? Because, Hieronymous replies with an errant shrug. I thought it would be beneficial to have her in here with us. This way, we can get the real parenting experience. But what happens when she wakes up in the middle of the night? I ask. What happens when she starts crying? Or if she wants to be fed? Or teethe, or whatever it is babies do when their gums hurt? The nanny is just down the hall, Hieronymous says patiently. If we have any trouble, she insisted that we wake her immediately. All right, I say hesitantly, if this is really what you want to do. I pause. Can I just ask why you want to do it? Why do you want to take care of Virginia's child? I have been having concerns about my ability to be a parent ever since the topic was first brought to my attention, Hieronymous explains. It has caused me to question whether I want a child at all. It is possible that we adopt a child and leave its upbringing to a series of foster families, much like I was, if we feel compelled to have an heir. So that's what this is? I ask. Some kind of test to see if you want to have a child that you raise yourself, or an heir that's raised by someone else? In extremely simplistic terms, yes, Hieronymous replies, and I roll my shoulders uncomfortably. But you were raised that way and you hated it, I remind him. It wouldn't be fair. It wasn't completely intolerable, Hieronymous admits slowly. There were some foster families that were exceedingly kind to me and helped foster my education. It was my father who vexed me the most, dropping into my life only when he had a new demand or challenge for me. It made it difficult for me to know whether he truly cared about me, or if he was just grooming me to take over his seat. He pauses. And now I know. It was always the latter. You're not that cruel, I say immediately. The fact that you're even willing to try to raise a child says volumes. I head over to the bed and lie down. Come to bed with me. We're going to need all the sleep we can get before that thing starts going off like an air raid siren. Hieronymous just chuckles as he joins me on the bed. He wraps his arms around me and starts kissing me, running his hands over my shoulders and through my hair as he pins me underneath him. Hieronymous, I whisper softly, slightly affronted. We can't do anything. Not with a baby in the room. Hieronymous just smirks and reaches up to kiss the bridge of my nose as he rolls off of me, pulling me into his arms. If you insist. With the warmth of his body next to mine, I fall asleep quickly. But, as I expected, I wake up a few short hours later to hear the baby wailing from across the room. Hieronymous? I yawn as I roll over onto my back, and Hieronymous groans as he rubs his face with both hands. What do we do? I ask as I sit up on my elbows. Does it need to eat? Go back to bed, Tori, he says gently. I'll take care of it. He goes over to the crib and picks the baby up in his arms, rocking her back and forth as he sits down in a nearby chair. As the baby continues to cry, Hieronymous closes his eyes and I can feel him channeling. I'm about to ask if he's about to cast a silence spell when, all of a sudden, the ceiling overhead changes. Instead of the drab stone ceiling, it was now a vast night sky. In fact, even the walls had disappeared, giving the impression that we were just sitting in the middle of a giant field at night. The sky overhead was clear, dotted with twinkling stars that stretched on in every direction. This is beautiful, I say, glancing in awe at the ceiling above me, and Hieronymous smirks as the baby stops crying, seemingly also enchanted by the magical display above her. Go back to bed, Tori, he says gently. I think I should hold her for a bit until she goes back to sleep, but you should get some rest. I'll stay up with you. I slip out of bed and wrap a silk robe around me. It barely falls past my butt, but I just curl up on my side at the end of the bed, pulling my knees into my chest as I watch him hold her. He looks right back at me, gnawing on his lower lip. I don't know how long we stay like that for, just staring at each other, before I finally decide to cut through the charged tension that was building between us. What? I ask, grinning slightly as I feel a blush overtake my cheeks. What is it? You look beautiful, Hieronymous says with a fond smile. I just really want to kiss you right now. That's all. I hesitate for a moment before I get up and walk towards him, and Hieronymous shifts the baby into his left arm as he holds his right hand out for me. I straddle one of his legs as he wraps his right arm around me, kissing me deeply as he buries his hand in the back of my hair. We sit like that for a while, just kissing, until sleep eventually gets the better of me. I put my head on his shoulder and bury my face in his neck as he just cuddles me with one arm and holds a now sleeping baby with the other. When I wake up that morning, I'm almost surprised to find that I'm still seated in Hieronymous's lap. Hieronymous is asleep with his head against mine, and the baby is asleep in his other arm. I don't want to stir and risk waking either of them, so I just smile and close my eyes as I fall back to sleep, dreaming of a life that could potentially be my future. Although I thought that the week would drag on while we were learning to take care of a baby, the days seemed to fly by. Rita taught us how to feed her by bottle and how to change a diaper, an act that Hieronymus made sure we both shared in equally. I was nervous about finding things to do with a baby that was too young to crawl, play, or speak, but Hieronymus managed to think of a few activities that we could all perform together. She sat beside us while we ate, and he enchanted a little stroller to follow us around the garden so that we could hold hands, and neither of us had to push her. Virginia's baby really liked, or seemed to like, being outside, and so we spent most of our time just enjoying the sunny, warm weather together. On the day before Virginia was supposed to return, however, I couldn't help but bring up the topic that had been on my mind all week. You know, we've been calling her the baby, but she deserves a name, I said casually during one of our routine promenades around the garden. Virginia said that she was leaving that up to us. If it is our child, Hieronymus notes, which it is not. Yeah, but I can't help but raise my shoulders and drop them uncomfortably. We've been getting along great with her all week. Virginia is going to come back tomorrow, and she's going to want an answer. Hieronymus is silent for a few moments, and to his credit, he appears deep in thought. Things have been going well. However, it has only been a few days, and we cannot say for sure that things have only been going well because we have not yet accepted any responsibility for the child. That's a fair point, I concede. When I was a kid, I used to watch Jessica's dog when she went on summer vacations with her family. It was fun taking care of her dog for a week, but one time, they went away for a whole month. The novelty quickly wore off, and I was exhausted cleaning up dog poop and taking him on walks every day. By the end of the month, she couldn't come and pick him up fast enough. Those are my concerns as well, Hieronymus admits. We also do have to resume our noble duties in a few days, which means her care will once again be left to Virginia and hired help. So, what do you think we should tell Virginia? I ask. We'll consider it, but we need more time. Hieronymus nods. Even if we started the paperwork to officially adopt her tomorrow, it would change nothing. We would still go off to work, and she would still stay here and be raised by others. And it wouldn't change the frequency of how often we came to visit? I ask, and Hieronymus just shrugs. Okay, but she needs a name. If Virginia can't think of a name, do you have any suggestions? I'm not sure, Hieronymus admits as he looks over at her. I do not have any strong feelings towards any one name. I am open to any and all suggestions, as long as it is something not utterly ridiculous. No, if she does officially enter the Grabiner line, she should have a more traditional name. I agree. What about your mother? What was her name? I don't think you or Aloysius ever said. Hieronymus is silent for a few moments before he finally speaks. It was Alice. Wait, Alice? I ask. Huh, that's really weird. My mother was named Alice too. It's a common name, Hieronymus says reflectively. Curiouser and curiouser, cried Alice. She was so much surprised that, for the moment, she quite forgot how to speak good English. I recite, and Hieronymus smirks with good humor. Do you think she would be a good fit for Alice? I ask, and Hieronymus just shrugs. When Virginia returns, we will let her decide.